What is up? What is up, YouTube? Check it out. Hey, there's a couple of haters. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Shout out to all the new subscribers who haven't heard the songs. You know Uncle Mike put out an album. So I gotta hear this. I ain't heard this in a good little while. So this is dedicated to all my haters that's in the rearview mirror. Can't see them, they too far behind the building. So check it out, check this out.
They hate cause they can't create, only imitate. They watch from the bleachers while you levitate and smile in your face, but deep down it's venom. And every L they pray, but deep down you win them. Now check it. Now you got them pacing in their mama's crib. Imagine moving smart while they barely live. It's easier to talk than it is to grind. So they type in all caps trying to block your shine. They hate what they can't touch, can't control. You the glitch in their system, breaking all the mode. You moving chess, they still stuck in checkers. Wasting all their energy just being crazy hecklers. Don't tell a hater what you about to do. Just pull up clean like the sky in view. Whole plan stitch product finish tight. Let them see you glow without dimming your light. Put it in their face, but don't even speak. Let your moves talk louder while moving your feet.
Drop your heat on the platform where they screwed. Let them watch your wins while you reach your goal.
Don't fight them out, write them out, work them in silence. Let success be the storm, not the silence. Stay on track, don't fold to the noise. Use hate like a beat, now go flex with noise. Can't show, they can only speak. They can only hope cause their actions weak. They know it's weak, so they lie on your name. Try to dim your spot cause they lack your flame. Don't give them power, they don't have skills. That's wasted energy that you can use to build. Listen to God, let his plans unfold. Then the problem solved and the truth get told.
Just in case y'all wanted to hear some of the songs, and just in case y'all haven't heard the hater song, and just in case there's some haters watching and listening, you might want to share this video and show it to a hater. Hey, Epstein files just got even darker. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I'm in Atlanta with my cousin's house and everything, and they getting ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm doing my reaction videos, so ignore all the sounds and stuff and all the movement you see in the background, because we getting busy, baby. We getting busy. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy out.
The Epstein files. Is it so confusing because of deep international deception or interdimensional deception? Ooh. Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand Unpacked. As the Epstein saga mutates into an unsettling fusion of political scandal, cultural rot, and occult overtones, must we ask, what deeper forces, spiritual, psychological, and even metaphysical, are revealing themselves through this moment? And what does the next phase of the Epstein saga represent and reveal. The newest phase of the Jeffrey Epstein saga, marked by Donald Trump's announcement that he has now signed a bill ordering the release of all unclassified government files related to Epstein, has escalated the scandal way beyond politics. After months of calling the matter a hoax, Trump reversed course as Congress prepared to pass the release bill with overwhelming bipartisan support. His signature forces the Justice Department to publish all unclassified Epstein documents in a searchable format within 30 days. Even so, national security caveats remain, and the power struggle between disclosure and concealment persists.
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
It's brilliant, isn't it? This plainly is a window into real power.
So basically, Epstein got men all over the world that's thinking with the wrong head. Epstein was finding all these millionaires, billionaires from all over the world who are thinking with the wrong head. And I got you. Then I got stuff on you so you can't cover it up. That's what happened.
They'll try to stop it.
I'm trying to tell you, that's what happened.
And that's going to backfire on them too.
It's brilliant, isn't it? This plainly is a window into real power. It plainly is a portal that allows us to momentarily glimpse at how real power operates. That it's not just ballot boxes and campaigning and rosettes and pendants and brass bands. Power is dark and deceptive and hidden. Power is radiant and bright, incredible and beautiful. On a pretty basic level, I do find it quite difficult to imagine Donald Trump filleting a horse or a human male. I imagine that Donald Trump spent a lot of the 80s or 90s or times between marriage having a lot of sex with willing participants. I suppose that's what people do. Certainly, it's what I used to do when it was an option and I was a single man. It's what I was supposed to be doing, was sleeping around. Never felt necessary to suck off a pony or anything. Just not really my cup of tea, as it were. But no doubt, people are using sex as a form of power, and sex in scripture, don't have sex outside of the container of marriage because it's a powerful force. Almost like if you do what you're told, life will be easier. But to see Epstein and this peculiar peeling portal purely as a political scandal is to miss its deeper cultural and spiritual dimensions. Daniel Pinchbeck, in his Substack essay, The Eighth Sphere, draws on Rudolf Steiner and contemporary esoteric teacher Gigi Young to argue that modern crises increasingly reflect the activity of invisible forces shaping consciousness. Pinchbeck quotes Steiner's warning that just as physical air surrounds us, so too does the spiritual. We have to look for the spiritual within what is actually physical in our environment. The Epstein system, its trafficking networks, its hidden patrons, its strange blend of sex, secrecy, money and influence can be seen as exactly this, a material manifestation of occult forces feeding on human degradation.
Well, Mark, we can see the photo being shared on Reddit and TikTok, amongst others. Here it is on TikTok. And it claims to show Donald Trump groping then-President Bill Clinton. It's gone viral after the US House Oversight Committee released a trove of Jeffrey Epstein's emails last week, including emails pertaining to Trump. And this photo is being shared alongside those rumors.
Whoa. Nah, I think it's just the position and the angle. Gotta be the angle of the camera. He probably got about this much gap in between his pants and his hand. About this much gap. Could be about this much gap. I think there's a lot of gap between there. This is crazy, man.
So let's look at one claim at a time. Jeffrey Epstein's emails last week, including emails pertaining to Trump. And this photo is being shared alongside those rumors. So let's look at one claim at a time. The photo is, in fact, a real photo of the two.
Dear old Emerald there, grappling with the cutting edge of technology. Like, okay, if we can just move this here. Sort of scrabbling about in Minority Report in a constant war with too many windows left open in that weird honeycomb of scandalous news. Look, I reckon Bill Clinton and Trump are womanizers, and I say that as a former womanizer myself that would take advantage of sexual opportunity and probably wouldn't require coercion because of the amount of availability. I don't know whether things get pretty depraved when you get ridiculous access when you're in the upper echelons of power, or if part of this whole Epstein deal is people doing crazy drugs and getting put in positions that are plainly in the edgelands. Who knows, man, what people are capable of. But if this does involve, as Pinchbeck speculates, interdimensional entities, then who knows what people get up to. But what I would say is much of the Old Testament seems to be dedicated to God's outrage that people in positions of power are sacrificing babies, are sexually licentious. Interdimensional beings have to go down to, for example, Sodom and say, would you mind not dragging people out into the public squares? Like, the Bible dedicates a lot of time to sexual impropriety, and that seems pretty relevant now, doesn't it? Let me know if you agree in the comments and chat.
And we know from the Wikimedia that it was taken in 2000 at the US Open by photographer William Vasta. He was the White House photographer at the time. So fact checkers at Snopes got in touch with him about the photo, and he told them that he didn't see any inappropriate contact. Trump was simply signaling to others in the room to gather for a group photo that included him, his guests, and Clinton. What you're seeing in the still photo is just an outtake between handshakes and gestures.
So who knows what that was? It turns out they were just at a golf tournament. Hey, I can tell you of two quite high-profile people that grabbed my crotch in a kind of playful way, and I didn't like it. As a matter of fact, two. Want me to name them? Let me know in the comments and the chat. It was out of order, but it's also just, I think, forgive the pun, horseplay. In Steiner's cosmology, the eighth sphere is a false parasitic dimension woven from distorted thoughts, unprocessed shadows, and spiritual corruption. Jung, not Carl Jung, that's G.G. Jung, describes it as a false cosmos, a complete inversion and mockery of our world, and adds that only when we feel terrified and like the world is ending will we ever accept the religion of the eighth sphere. This idea echoes the collective emotional climate surrounding Epstein: fear, fascination, disgust, denial, fantasy, and dread. The scandal behaves like a psychic vortex, pulling society into a distorted mirror world where the powerful appear insulated from morality, bound to hidden networks, and animated by forces beyond ordinary comprehension. It is here that Tucker Carlson's idea of literal demons becomes unexpectedly relevant. Tucker Carlson has argued that certain political and cultural actors behave as if influenced by malevolent spiritual forces, not metaphorical demons, but active, non-physical entities flourishing in moral chaos. His intuition mirrors Steiner's Luciferic and Aramaic beings and Jung's description of occult parasitism.
And that will lead us to UFOs. All right. Now, I know you're into this topic.
What we're seeing, these phenomena are spiritual phenomena. They've been here forever. There's a lot of evidence of that in the written record going back thousands of years. They're angels and demons, of course. The way to know what the truth is by figuring out what they're trying to prevent you from believing. And if you look at the U.S. government propaganda, DOD propaganda, on the question of UFOs, UAPs, the one thread that connects all of it is that these are not supernatural. These are little green men from Mars. They're weather phenomenon. They're experimental aircraft. The one thing that they don't want you to believe is that they are spiritual entities.
Why would that be so threatening to them?
Well, that's a great question. That is the question. Consistent with what we know about spiritual forces, which is always a deal. You know, bow down before me and all of this will be yours. I mean, it's kind of the core story in the New Testament, and it's the template for our own lives. And there is a lot of informed speculation that the U.S. government has participated in this, and that defense technology, in particular nuclear technology, is the product of that. I will say one extremely interesting thing that no one seems to know is that it's not exactly clear where nuclear technology came from.
He's good news, isn't he, Tucker Carlson? No wonder he's getting so much heat. There you have it. He ties together rather beautifully New Testament ideas about the battle between good and evil with some of the stories that are playing out now. And the idea that intelligence services and good and evil and Hollywood has been one that's played out in the American mythology for some time now and coalesced rather beautifully, destructively and dreadfully around the Manson family era. Many people think that Charles Manson was a CIA asset. Let's have a look at this.
Are you saying? I question him, huh? Are you saying? Sane? Yes. That's relative.
Think I could talk to you except through music.
History provides parallels for these moments when elite corruption, sexual transgression, and occult undertones converge. Weiner Berlin's decadent nightlife, occult salons, and sexual libertinism preceded the Republic's collapse. The late Roman Empire was haunted by accusations that its elites indulged in depraved rites. The Manson family blended sex, power, psychic domination, and hints of intelligence world adjacency into a miniature cosmos of collective possession. Epstein's network is their globalized, digitized descendant, more refined, more powerful, more deeply hidden.
Go ride a horse. Feelings towards everything. I feel no bad. I know no bad. Open them. I'm not against you, huh? Are you bitter? Bitter? No. No.
I have a question. Are you guilty of any murders? Are you guilty of plotting any murders?
I killed a chicken once.
Whoa! Sex, power, glamour, Hollywood, and occultism. The Epstein universe, ritualized exploitation, systemic blackmail, the harvesting of psychic vulnerabilities fits squarely within what Carlson articulates, the sense that some human actions are animated by forces that are not merely psychological but spiritual. Leaked emails show Epstein maintained a vast network of high-status confidants, including Noam Chomsky, who he reportedly called a highly valued friend. Meanwhile, the internet circulates surreal rumors that Vladimir Putin possesses a photo of Trump blowing Bubba, sparking speculation about whether Bubba is Ghislaine Maxwell's horse. I remember when they were satisfied with a sugar cube or a carrot. Or that Candace Owens believes Israel is blackmailing Trump with Epstein-era emails. Whether true or not, these rumors operate like symptoms of the collective subconscious, serving in occult terms as symbolic eruptions from the astral plane. Candace Owens, my sister Christian, and fellow pundit in the outer edges of online spaces, has been making some exceptional, extraordinary, and bold claims that perhaps require additional corroboration, and I pray for her safety and I pray for peace for everyone. Here she appears to entertain the Trump-Bubba paradox. Can you imagine? Just the way he acts, I just can't imagine he'd be into that.
Number 5. National security concerns, okay? The discharge.
Because it's all sexual and disgusting and puerile and revolting, even the word discharge now carries an additional burden. Suddenly I see myself in a barnyard with Bubba grinning at me saying, "Hey, them sugar cubes and carrots ain't gonna cut it no more. Now it's time for me to ride you. Get on your knees, boy." What a world we're living in where even these conversations are taking place. I mean, this escalated so quickly, didn't it? Do you see now that nothing short of a life of fidelity, spiritual fidelity, will solve the problem we're in now? If we remain devoted to worldliness, we're just going to be shoved around on this checkerboard like priapic ponies.
Requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods.
We can't put Mossad at risk. Like, the one extraordinary time we're living in. When, in the COVID crisis, then Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, was confronted with the idea that at the height of COVID, when all of us were locked in our homes and not visiting grandmas and not seeing babies be born, you know, to protect one another and all that, and take that vaccine, even though it doesn't impact transmission, we want you to take that, and if you don't, you're a bad person, you're not thinking of others. All sorts of weird gaslighting moral quandaries. Boris Johnson and the Conservative government were attending parliament parties. And when he was confronted with that fact, Boris Johnson first of all said, I didn't know there were any parties. Then said, I did know there were parties, but I wasn't at them. Then said, I was at the parties, but I didn't know they were parties while I was at them. That ridiculous deterioration, that degeneration of reason, we're going to see again and again as new media means that old power is confronted with sets of facts that it ain't equipped to deal with, because everyone's got a camera, everyone's got a phone, no one can suppress information. The Epstein file, whether you're left or right or black or white or whatever you are, it really helps you understand why Barack Obama took the position he did at Stanford University.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe.
Even if you yourself are able to take the chaff from the wheat and know the conspiracy theories from the conspiracy facts, not everyone does. That's why we need these categories of misinformation. That's why we, the government, need the ability to censor. Of course they do, because otherwise there's just a deluge of information, much of which is going to be ridiculous and fantastical. And the Epstein file is a perfect example of that. Who knows whether or not the more ridiculous or extreme claims are true? And in a way, actually, I would say don't get distracted by that. Even though the Epstein files are to some degree about sex and sexual exploitation, and I sometimes forget there are real victims in the middle of this, real women and alarmingly girls that have been abused and as a result of this story and ought to be the center of this story. The true center in terms of why is it happening, why did it happen, is power, so that powerful people can be compromised and controlled. Why are they being compromised and controlled? So that some kind of mysterious, difficult to detect, centralized entity can exert its will. Now, some people will say that that's Israel. Some will say it's deep state power within the US. Others will say it's forms of global imperialism. And some will say, as the essay by Daniel Pinchbeck illustrated, that it's a darker power even than that. Again, I'm a Christian, so I believe it's pure, flat-out evil, capturing and exploiting human institutions in order to pursue its end, the capture and destruction of human souls. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Steiner warned that Luciferic forces amplify glamour and fantasy. Aramaic forces enforce mechanization and secrecy. Asuric forces aim to dissolve individuality itself. Epstein's ecosystem contained all three: the glamour of celebrity and access, Luciferic; the technocratic intelligence-adjacent machinery of secrecy, Ahrimanic; the annihilation of the victim's I, reducing human beings to instruments, Asuric. Pinchbeck writes that when human thinking, feeling and willing are pulled into such a construct, we lose the capacity to encounter death, nature and the soul as free beings. In this view, the Epstein system was not just criminal, it was spiritual predation. Trump's signing of the release bill marks an opening in the mirror world of the eighth sphere, a forced crack in the psychic membrane. Yet release alone cannot transform the culture. What is required is the spiritual work Steiner and Jung insist upon: illumination, self-knowledge, and the courage to perceive the unseen architecture behind events. As St. Francis says, sanctify yourself to sanctify society. The Epstein files may reveal the contours of a hidden elite system, but the deeper revelation is that humanity must confront the forces, literal or symbolic, that animate such systems. The question now is whether we use this moment as an exorcism, a break from the gravitational pull of the eighth sphere, or whether we recoil, fascinated, and remain trapped in its reflection.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told.
Gosh, imagine being Jeffrey Epstein's brother, like some kid you grew up with and went to school with and slept in the bunk above, being the centre of such an extraordinary story. Let me know in the comments and chat whether you think he's really alive. Did he even ever exist? I mean, what is Epstein now? He's a synecdoche for global corruption and the way that sexual blackmail is used to leverage power against the apparently most powerful forces in the world.
The reason they're going to be releasing these things, and the reason for the flip, is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it.
Even when you see footage of Elon Musk eating with Albert Bourla at some black tie event, doesn't it seem to you that the game can't just be about power and money? Doesn't it feel to you that it's about more than that? We are living in a peculiar vortex. This is a moment where time itself appears to be speeding up. The paradigm cannot contain anymore the amount of power that's rushing through it. The serpent coils and turns and eats its own tail. It seems that we don't even have the language to adequately describe what's happening. For the first time, certainly that I can recall, certainly in the modern, rational, post-Enlightenment age, people are open to the idea that spiritual forces are what control reality. And I suppose the reason is this. I know if you're poor, because I remember it, that when you're poor and you don't have anything, it seems that resources and material are everything somehow. That if I could just go here and go there and do this and get that, it feels like this is the plane where things matter. It is a tremendous relief, as Jim Carrey famously said, to experience this level of power and excitement. Not that I'm suggesting that I know what it's like to be Jim Carrey. What a genius, what a great guy. But I do know the difference between being real poor and being a drug addict, and then being affluent and having money and having access to stuff. And I do know what it's like to not be a Christian and then to become a Christian. And this is what I've learned, and this is what I've been shown. We are in a spiritual war. We're in a holy war. If you don't know that you're in a holy war, you're on the wrong side in the holy war. This is an important time for urgent and immediate awakening. And the Epstein file and the confusion and the contradiction and the backsliding and the contradiction and the we're going to release it, no, we're not going to release it, is the beginning of a kind of implosion of power that I imagine is going to lead to radical reevaluation. Either that reevaluation will be the assertion of centralized power in a way that we've never seen before, or something approaching bliss, something approaching a return to what we were designed for and what we were made for. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. Remember, we make these unpacked 3 times a week. You can see them first on Rumble. Support me on Rumble Prime. And if you haven't yet taken the opportunity to win this glorious Jeep, then enter now. For every $1 you spend, you get 25 entries. Click the link in the description. You could be driving around in a Jeep. Then all your problems would be solved. In the meantime, if you can, stay free. Thanks for watching the video. Have a look at this one over here, or join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Rumble.
Man, that was deep. We are in a spiritual warfare, and it's difficult for people to decide on what side they want to be on. It's difficult for them to say, I'm gonna do good, I'm gonna pick good, I'm gonna pick God, I'm gonna pick Jesus, I'm gonna pick what the Bible stands for. I'm gonna pick I don't read the whole Bible. I'm gonna read about 2 or 3 pages and say I got it all figured out. You can read 3 or 4 pages and realize that the Bible's talking about being positive. The Bible is saying do on the others better than you would do for yourself. How about that? The Bible is saying you should be helping other people in this world. Reach down and pull somebody up. I want y'all to remember that, man. Y'all read the Bible for yourself and see if it's saying reach down and pull somebody up. Basically, all the stories, all the stuff, all you got to do is be positive and nice. One of the things I was looking at something, man. This is semi off the subject. I'm looking at these robots, the human robots and stuff. As soon as the robots start moving and stuff, the first thing y'all want to do is get the robot to fight. Do fighting moves and different things. Our first thoughts in our mind is fighting. How it barks. I ain't gonna let nobody they try to push the robot down. Why would you want to do this? This is the human. Our first instinct is to hurt each other or have some type of bodily pain toward each other. That should be the least thing in our mind. That should be the least thing that we think about. It's hurting somebody else. Don't you think? Does that sound right? The last thing you should want to do is hurt somebody. Man, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.